Hello. For some of you who are having trouble with the Journeys link to the story LAFFF, I decided I would go ahead and record myself reading the story for you. So this part right here, imagine the possibilities. This is just talking about what science fiction writers have often written about is time travel. I have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to skip that part. Here's where I'm reading right now. In the movies, geniuses have frizzy white hair, right? They wear thick glasses and have names like Dr. Zweinstein. Peter Lou didn't have frizzy white hair. He had straight hair, as black as licorice. He didn't wear thick glasses either, since his vision was normal. Peter's family, like ours, had immigrated from China, but they had settled here first. When we moved into a house just 2 doors down from the Lou's, they gave us some good advice on how to get along in America. I went to the same school as Peter, and we walked to the school bus together every morning. Like many Chinese parents, mine made sure that I worked very hard in school. In spite of all I could do, my grades were nothing compared to Peter's. He was at the top in all of his classes. We walked to the school bus without talking, because I was a little scared of him. Besides, he was always deep in thought. Peter didn't have any friends. Most of the kids thought he was a nerd because they saw his head always buried in books. I didn't think he even tried to join the rest of us or cared what the others thought of him. Then he surprised us all. As I went down the block trick-or-treating, dressed as a zucchini in my green sweats, I heard a strange, deep voice behind me say, "How do you do?" I yelped and turned around. Peter was wearing a long black Chinese gown with slits in the sides. On his head he had a little round cap, and down each side of his mouth drooped a thin, long mustache. "I am Dr. Lu Manchu, the mad scientist," he announced, putting his hands in his sleeves and bowing. He smiled when he saw me staring at his costume. It was a scary smile, somehow. Some of the other kids came up, and when they saw Peter, they were impressed. "Hey, neat," said one boy. I hadn't expected Peter to put on a costume and go trick-or-treating like a normal kid, so maybe he did want to join the others after all. At least some of the time. After that night, he wasn't a nerd anymore. He was Dr. Lu Manchu. Even some of the teachers began to call him that. When we became too old for trick-or-treating, Peter was still Dr. Lu Manchu. The rumor was that he was working on a fantastic machine in his parents' garage, but nobody had any idea what it was. One evening, as I was coming home from a babysitting job, I cut across the Lu's backyard. Passing their garage, I saw through a little window that the light was on. My curiosity got the better of me, and I peeked in. I saw a booth that looked like a shower stall. A stool stood in the middle of the stall, and hanging over the stool was something that looked like a great big shower head. Suddenly, a deep voice behind me said, "Good evening, Angela." Peter bowed and smiled his scary smile. He didn't have his costume on, and he didn't have the long, droopy mustache, but he was Dr. Lu Manchu. "What are you doing?" I squeaked. Still in his strange, deep voice, Peter said, "What are you doing? After all, this is my garage." "I was just cutting across your yard to get home. Your parents never complained before." "I thought you were spying on me," said Peter. "I thought you wanted to know about my machine." He hissed when he said the word machine. Honestly, he was beginning to frighten me. "What machine?" I demanded. "You mean this shower stall thing?" He drew himself up and narrowed his eyes, making them into thin slits. "This is my time machine." I goggled at him. You mean this machine can send you forward and backward in time?" "Well, actually, I can only send things forward in time," admitted Peter, speaking in his normal voice again. "That's why I'm calling the machine LAFFF. It stands for Lu's Artifact for Fast Forward." Of course, Peter always won first prize in the annual statewide science fair, but that's a long way from making a time machine. minus his mustache and long Chinese gown. He was just Peter Loop. I don't believe it, I said. I bet LAFFF is only good for a laugh. Okay, Angela, I'll show you, hissed Peter. He sat down on the stool and twisted a dial. I heard some bleeps, drops, and gurgles. Peter disappeared. He must have done it with mirrors. I looked around the garage. I peeked under the tool bench. There was no sign of him. Okay, I give up, I told him. It's a good trick, Peter. You can come out now. Beep, chirp, and gurgle went the machine, and there was Peter sitting on his stool. He held a red rose in his hand. What do you think of that? I blinked. So you produced a flower. Maybe you hid it under the stool. Roses bloom in June, right? He demanded. That was true, and this was December. I sent myself forward in time to June when the flowers were blooming, said Peter, and I picked the rose from our yard. Convinced, Angela? It was too hard to swallow. You said you couldn't send things back in time, I objected, so how did you bring the rose back? But even as I spoke, I saw that his hands were empty. The rose was gone. That's one of the problems with the machine, said Peter. When I send myself forward, I can't seem to stay there for long. I snap back to my own time after only a minute. Anything I bring with me snaps back to its own time too. So my rose has gone back to this June. I was finally convinced, and I began to see possibilities. Wow, just think, if I don't want to do the dishes, I can send myself forward to the time when the dishes are already done. That won't do you too much good, said Peter. You'd soon pop back to the time when the dishes were still dirty. Too bad. There must be something your machine is good for, I said. Then I had another idea. Hey, you can bring me back a piece of fudge from the future, and I can eat it twice, once now and again in the future. Yes, but the fudge wouldn't stay in your stomach, said Peter. It would go back to the future. That's even better, I said. I can enjoy eating the fudge over and over again without getting fat. It was too late, and I had to go home before my parents started to worry. Before I left, Peter said, Look, Angela, there's still a lot of work to do on the LAFFF. Please don't tell anybody about the machine until I've got it right. A few days later, I asked him how he was doing. I can stay in the future time a bit longer now, he said. Once I got it up to 4 minutes. Is that enough time to bring me back some fudge from the future? I asked. We don't keep many sweets around the house, he said, but I'll see what I can do. A few minutes later he came back with a spring roll for me. My mother was frying these in the kitchen, and I snatched one while she wasn't looking. I bit into the hot, crunchy spring roll, but before I finished chewing, it disappeared. The taste of soy sauce, green onions, and bean sprouts stayed a little longer in my mouth, though. It was fun to play around with LAFFF, but it wasn't really useful. I didn't know what a great help it would turn out to be. Every year our school held a writing contest, and the winning story for each grade got printed in our school magazine. I wanted desperately to win. I worked awfully hard in school, but my parents still thought I could do better. Winning the writing contest would show my parents that I was really good in something. I love writing stories, and I have lots of ideas, but when I actually write them down, my stories never turn out as good as I thought. I just can't seem to find the right words because English isn't my first language. I got an honorable mention last year, but it wasn't the same as winning and showing my parents my name, Angela Tang, printed in the school magazine. The deadline for the contest was getting close, and I had a pile of stories written, but none of them looked like a winner. Then, the day before the deadline, boing! A brilliant idea hit me. I thought of Peter and his LAFFF machine. I rushed over to the Lou's garage, and just as I had hoped, Peter was there, tinkering with his machine. I've got this great idea for winning the story contest, I told him breathlessly. You see, to be certain of winning, I have to write the story that would be the winner. That's obvious, Peter said dryly. In fact, you're going around in a circle. Well, wait, listen, I said. I want to use LAFFF and go forward to the time when the next issue of the school magazine is out. Then I can read the winning story." After a moment, Peter nodded. "I see. You plan to write down the winning story after you've read it and then send it in to the contest." I nodded eagerly. The story would have to win because it's the winner. Peter began to look interested. "I've got LAFFF to the point where I can stay in the future for 7 minutes now. Will that be long enough for you?" "I'll just have to work quickly," I said. Peter smiled. It wasn't his scary Lu Manchu smile, but a nice smile. He was getting as excited as I was. "Okay, Angela, let's go for it." He led me to the stool. "What's your destination?" he asked. "I mean, when's your destination?" Suddenly, I was nervous. I told myself that Peter had made many time trips, and he looked perfectly healthy. Why not? What have I got to lose, except time? I took a deep breath. I want to go forward 3 weeks in time. By then, I'd have a copy of the new school magazine in my room. "Ready, Angela?" asked Peter. "As ready as I'll ever be," I whispered. Bleep, cheep, and gurgle. Suddenly, Peter disappeared. What went wrong? Did Peter get sent by mistake instead of me? Then I realized what happened. 3 weeks later in time, Peter might be somewhere else. No wonder I couldn't see him. There was no time to be lost. Rushing out of Peter's garage, I ran over to our house and entered through the back door. Mother was in the kitchen. When she saw me, she stared. "Angela, I thought you were upstairs taking a shower." "Sorry," I panted. "No time to talk." I dashed up to my room. Then I suddenly had a strange idea. What if I met myself in my room? Arrgh! It was a spooky thought. There was nobody in my room. Where was I? I mean, where was the I of 3 weeks later? Wait. My mother had just said she thought I was taking a shower. Down the hall I could hear the water running in the bathroom. Okay, that meant I wouldn't run into me for a while. I went to the shelf above my desk and frantically pawed through the junk piled there. I found it. I found the latest issue of the school magazine, the one with the winning stories printed in it. How much time had passed? Better hurry. The shower had stopped running. That meant the other me was out of the bathroom. Have to get out of here. Too late. Just as I started down the stairs, I heard Mother talking again. "Angela, a minute ago you were all dressed. Now you're in your robe again with your hair's all wet. I don't understand." I shivered. It was scary listening to Mother talking to myself downstairs. I heard my other self answering something, then at the sound of my steps coming up the stairs. In a panic, I dodged into the spare room and closed the door. I heard the steps, my steps, go past and into my room. The minute I heard the door of my room close, I rushed out and down the stairs. Mother was standing at the front of the stairs. When she saw me, her mouth dropped. But, just a minute ago, you were in your robe and your hair was all wet." "See you later, Mother," I panted, and I ran. Behind me, I heard my mother muttering, "I'm going mad." I didn't stop and try to explain. I might go mad too. It would be great if I could just keep the magazine with me, but like the spring roll, it would get carried back to its own time after a few minutes. So the next best thing was to read the magazine as fast as I could. It was hard to run and flip through the magazine at the same time, but I made it back to Peter's garage and plopped down on the stool. At last I found the story that had won the contest in our grade. I started to read. Suddenly I heard bleep, cheep, and gurgle, and Peter loomed up in front of me. I was back in my original time again, but I still had the magazine. Now I had to read the story before the magazine popped back to the future. It was hard to concentrate with Peter jumping up and down impatiently, so different from his usual calm, collected self. I read a few paragraphs and I was beginning to see how the story would shape up. But before I got any further, the magazine disappeared from my hand. So I didn't finish reading the story. I didn't reach the end where the name of the winning writer was printed. That night I stayed up very late to write down what I remembered of the story. It had a neat plot and I could see why it was the winner. I hadn't read the entire story, so I had to make up the ending myself. But that was okay, since I knew how it should come out. The winners of the writing contest would be announced at the school assembly on Friday. After we had filed into the assembly hall and sat down, the principal gave a speech. I tried not to fidget while he explained about the contest. Suddenly, I was struck by a dreadful thought. Somebody in my class had written the winning